Tonight you're invited after Mass, if you want, to participate in a posada. In many countries of the world, Christian Catholic countries of the world, there's a time of 9 days leading up to the celebration of the birth of Jesus. In the Philippines, it's called Simbang Gabi, and it takes place early in the morning. And so the Filipino community and many others have gathered every morning at 5 a.m., including tomorrow, for Mass, an early morning Mass, celebrating and preparing for the birth of Christ. It's more traditional in Spanish-speaking countries, what they call a posadas. And what that is they go normally from in the different areas, neighborhoods. They'll go each night to a different house, Mary and Joseph, someone dressed as Mary and Joseph, and knock on the door. And there's some dialogue that goes back and forth. Because, of course, at least according to the Gospel of Luke, there was no room in the inn. So Joseph and Mary petition entry, and the people say no, and then again, it's a dialogue. And finally, the door is opened and the party begins. So it's a kind of... So you're invited at the very end of Mass to follow me and Mary and Joseph to begin a posada. So, your treat. It's really one of the things I regret about the time I studied Spanish in Mexico was that I wasn't there at Christmas time, because every Mexican I talked to talked about how magical it was. Not simply, it wasn't a matter of gifts, it was a matter of the posadas every night, going for 9 nights, going to a different house, seeing your neighbors and celebrating again Jesus' presence. And they would, when Mexicans would talk about it, they would almost light up. They would light up, thinking about the gathering of neighbors and friends. It's a huge challenge, perhaps, for us to prepare for. Probably you all are breathless at this point, preparing for Christmas, I assume. You've been running around. Some people coming from, many have left town, and some are coming to town, and we've been preparing, each in our own way. The invitation of the Gospels today are one that perhaps we could hear for the next 2 or 3 days, when we are going to gather with some friends or family, or we're going to celebrate. Because it's the gift of presence, not presence. To make that distinction, I don't know if you hear it. But what Jesus says in the second reading is that, or what the Hebrews reading says, that God did not want sacrifices and sin offerings. Now that was an amazing departure from Judaism as it was in Jesus' day, because that was the whole economy. The animal sacrifices and sin offerings were absolutely the core of what it meant to be. To be a faithful Jew was to make the pilgrimage at the regular time and to make the offerings, the appropriate offerings for your situation in life. But the writer of the Hebrews says, no, God doesn't want that. What does he want? And he uses a quote from Scripture. He says, Jesus says, "Behold, I come." Jesus gives himself, a presence to us. His lived presence, his life, once and for all, as the writer of the Hebrews says in that second reading. What does Mary give to Elizabeth? The gift of her presence. As soon as she heard, Elizabeth says, as soon as she heard her voice, the baby herself rejoiced to have her come. Rejoiced to know that she who had been promised much by the Lord, how is it, she says, Does this happen to be that the mother of my Lord should come to me? I think that's a good paradigm for the next couple days. Hopefully you don't have to do any more shopping, and if you do, God bless you. If you're going or people are coming to celebrate with you, give them the gift of yourselves. Give them the gift of your ear to listen to. Give them the gift of your heart to forgive them if they need forgiveness. Give them the gift of your patience if they are a little tedious. Give them the gift of your understanding. Give what Mary and Elizabeth gave to each other, the gift of themselves, the gift of two women pregnant in solidarity with one another, echoing and so sensitive to the voice of the other that there could be joy between them. There could be a celebration of just being together. So let us take, what does God have to give us? He's already given it to us. It's not, Christmas has already come, so to speak. It's right sitting there in the pew beside you, in front of you, behind you. The living testament of a person on fire for God, right here. I know you might not know the name of the person in front of you, and you don't need to, but you know that God is blessed and called each one of us. So let us take the moment, those moments that God gives us if people are coming to rejoice, perhaps. Rejoice in even the irritations and the glitches of our celebrations, to open our hearts, perhaps, like Mary and Elizabeth did to one another. Give ourselves, besides our presence, our person. Let us give them an open heart. And let us listen deeper to those who come. Because what does the incarnation mean, after all? It means that it's already here. We don't have to wait 2 more days. You know, it's already. The living presence of God is among us right now. It's not something we have to wait for.